the 5 mistakes that businesses and business owners are attracted to making when they're trying to rebuild their business. First, let's talk about how to rebuild the correct way. One of my clients is doing it the right way. We sat down 4 weeks ago and said, all right, we know that eventually things are going to come back to normal. How do we rebuild? There's several steps. Okay, number one, what they did is they regrouped their leadership team. They didn't say, okay, everybody get back to your places and talk to your people and everybody get back to work. Okay, they didn't have that attitude, and they didn't in any way whatsoever come across that way. What they did is they said, all right, let's regroup. Let's come back together and let's rebuild the conversation, and let's rebuild some of the habits that were broken while we were in the pandemic lockdown. They looked at their schedule and said, all right, let's get back to our rhythm. Let's get back to our rhythm where we met as a leadership team, and let's see if that schedule still applies. And so they've always selected Thursdays, and Thursday mornings is when they meet. It's when the development team meets with all the development team members, and where the COO and the owner get together at 8:30 in the morning by themselves. Thankfully, I join them. And from 8:30 to 10 o'clock, they have a really effective, powerful, transparent, difficult, but engaging executive team meeting. And they plan out, and they know that coming right after that at 10 o'clock or 10:30, the other managers are going to join in, and they're going to discuss the matters of the day, the things for the next 2 weeks, the whole of the business. And everybody knows what the schedule is. Everyone knows what the routine is. So everybody engages with the agendas. But you know what? Because we just had to reboot everything again, everybody forgot. Now, where are the agendas? Where are the notes? Some people forgot that, okay, we're supposed to put items in the new business. There's a lot of patience that has to be built into this. Well, we just dusted off all the agendas, brought them back up, and last week we looked at all the top projects, eliminated top projects, combined some top projects, put things back, put new things. Some of them they had answers to, some of them they didn't have answers to, some of them they had to go to their managers and say, all right, where are we with things? What do we need to do? And the discipline is regroup, back to your rhythm of leadership communication, back to your rhythm of leadership collaboration. Avoid the temptation of sending out the troops to say, all right, everybody get back to your units and work, but when you haven't yet regrouped as a leadership team, because you miss the biggest element of what motivates people. And what motivates people more than anything is direction, it's clarity, it's expectations, and it's hearing the leadership and management team made up of the executives and the managers. It's to hear one voice direction instead of having this manager say this and that manager say that, and then things get confused and we're operating on different timelines, different intensities, different focus. That confuses more than anything in the world, and you can't give enough Christmas parties, you can't give enough gifts, you can't get enough benefits, you can't get enough perks to cover for all that. You rebuild the collaboration of your leadership team, and you create alignment. You create alignment on the top projects. What are our metrics? All right, what does it mean for us to be successful? And you put that back up on the sheet of paper, and everyone's looking at it, all right? And in that meeting, they've been assessing the damage. Who's still on board? Who's not on board? What changes happen? Who has gone beyond? Who's proven themselves? Who hasn't? Where are we with our personnel? The HR department has been doing a really good job of staying in contact with the managers and assessing that. They didn't just assess it, they had to make some decisions, some tough decisions, and say, all right, we're going to have to restructure some departments. We're going to have to promote some people. We're going to have to move people off to the side. We're going to have to change some titles. And having the honest, tough conversations with each other across department lines, that there was an agreement to it. And the beautiful thing about it is that those decisions did not take 6 weeks, 10 weeks. Okay, because they were afraid to make decisions. Now, they didn't make decisions like on the fly. They've been having great conversations during the lockdown, but when we all realized that, okay, things are going to start picking back up, we have to get ready to hit the ground running. The COO brought his game plan, the CFO brought a game plan, and by what I mean by a game plan, it was one sheet of paper that outlined who they felt they needed promotion, who they felt needed title changes, who they felt needed to be moved to combined departments. And there was some tough discussions that were not easy discussions. But the commitment to sit in a room for an hour, hour and a half and make these tough decisions is what I meant earlier about regrouping the leadership collaboration. Okay, that is your number one gift that you can give to your company, is to constantly regroup. When it falls apart, regroup again. When it falls apart, regroup again. All right, so then what they did, as they were making decisions, they were redrawing their organizational chart. And this is where a lot of business owners and a lot of companies just really are very weak. And I'm sorry, no offense, but it's kind of like saying, I'm going to take a family trip, but we're never going to open up a map and look at the lines of where the highways are and how long it's going to get there and create something that we can all look at and they put it on GPS and everybody go by the GPS and we'll adjust it as we go. But at least we have something to look at. Org chart. And companies, business owners, make a major mistake by not looking, rebuilding, restructuring based on the org chart and said, okay, what's our org chart look like today? What does it need to look today? Don't worry about what it's going to look 4 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. That's a different discussion for a different day. But you have to ask yourself, all right, what is our org chart so we can give direction and to our people. And now this is where you hear people say things like, oh, well, we're just not about titles and we're not about, building a very tight corporate structure. Well, it's not about that. It's about giving direction and answering the simple question that helps everybody focus. And that is this: who do you report to and who reports to you? In other words, accountability. Those lines of accountability are not clear on a very simple, easy to view and easy to understand, well laid out, but simple organizational chart, then you're going to create confusion and everyone's going to assume their own lines and they're going to go back to their own habits. They looked at it and they said, this is not the same organizational chart that we had back in February because of the lockdown and the changes. We're going to have to regroup. And they announced to their team members what the changes were, and they made sure that each department communicated it to their teams. And just to make sure that we do not miss anybody, let's call an all-team meeting. Everybody, let's get them in the same room, let's get them on Skype, and let's make sure that we do a 30, 45-minute announcement where they see the executive team and they see the managers all united to create one voice direction, kind of like a ribbon cutting. Very simple. They did it yesterday. It was a very simple meeting. HR put the agenda together, showed it to the other managers. They beat it up real quickly and announced everybody. So it's a sense of a united leadership approach. And again, when I say that is the best gift you can give your companies, I'm not over exaggerating. If you want to rebuild the right way, you have to rebuild the collaboration of your leadership team, redefine your teams, and do what the standards of all management 101 say is build, rebuild, reform your teams. You're handling that, you're handling that, you're handling that, and everybody, whoa, hey, everybody, listen. He's handling that, she's handling that, and make sure that it's clearly communicated and announced from the top with the managers, both of them saying that at a meeting or in a Skype or in a Zoom session. Don't assume that you can say everybody get back to work because things have been messed up, and you're simply going to encourage folks to just interpret it in their own way. The last two things they're doing is now they're sitting facing each other saying, wow, we got to retrain a lot of people. Let's figure out what all the needs are. And of course, it was like, well, we need this, well, we need that, we need that. And of course, everybody started giving their opinion, but the managers and the executives said, okay, you know what? We can have a 20-hour discussion right now. Let's just assess. Everybody sit with your teams and just do the best you can to assess what is it that you need, what are the tools that you need, what are the training that we need. And a lot of questions came up. Yeah, but who? Where are we going to get the money? Okay, we don't have the money. The grants, the state grants are no longer there. What are we going to do? And the answer was really good by one of the executives. Said, guys, let's take this one step at a time. Let's figure out what the damage is. Let's figure out what the need is, and then we'll figure out how we're going to bake this cake. That's the next step. Rebuilding correctly is reforming your teams and sitting down with them and saying, all right, what tools do you need? What tools are you lacking? What training do you need? And what has come up in the last 7 weeks for us to then go find resources? And the last thing they did, which is kind of like icing on the cake, the leaders chose a book. It's called Deliberate Discomfort. Go get the book. We're reading Deliberate Discomfort. It's a fantastic book on leadership and how to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And unless you're willing to be uncomfortable in a professional environment so you can make tough decisions and look at each other and say the things that need to be said in a professional but yet discomforting level to get us out of funk, then it's not going to work. And the book lays out extraordinarily great strategies. The executives and the managers are now reading it 1 chapter a week. And in the leadership meeting, they block out the last 15 minutes of that meeting, and then they discuss what they've learned from the book, what they acknowledge from the book, they put things on the board. Great collaboration, great camaraderie, but don't think I'm painting this rosy picture of just utopia that they don't disagree. Man, I cannot tell you the amount of disagreements they're having. I cannot tell you the amount of tension that is in the room. I cannot tell you how they're rubbing hard against each other, but they're committed to the mission. They're committed to their top projects. They're committed to their teams. They're committed to each other. And then they worry about themselves. So that's the order. You have to be focused on the mission, the company, the organization, the top project. Nothing matters more than the top project. Then secondly, you have to be focused on the team. Then third, you have to be focused on each other. And the last thing you worry about is your own safety, your own agenda, and your own protection. And they're committed to that. And they know that that means they have to have tough conversations. And I'm telling you, the last 6 weeks have been riddled with a lot of tension, but they're committed to one another, to getting through and doing it the right way. And here I am. I'm using them as an example to show you guys that's the way to rebuild.